Sounds good. Continuing on. Right, so we've talked about resolution, color space. Now, the idea of color space is really, really tricky when you really get to the nitty-gritty of it. Make sure I'm at my color space. So we're going to have to pick up in a different document once we're there. So raster is raster. We've talked about that. Now color space. There's two major color spaces. There's RGB and then there's CMYK. So what do we think CMYK means? Yes, absolutely right. Cyan, magenta, yellow, black. K is black. What do we think RGB stands for? Following that note. Red, blue, and green. Now, one is used in a digital space, and the other is used in a print space. So what do we think the print one is? How many people have replaced the ink in their home printers? Good. What colors do they give you normally? C, M, Y, and K. So that's what that is. Anytime I'm printing something, I'm going to be in CMYK color space. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute, Craig, I'm always printing, because you told me I'm always printing. Well, that's why InDesign is always CMYK. Typically in Photoshop, you're working in an sRGB, which is just a hybrid RGB color space. Illustrator's a CMYK color space most of the time. Illustrator and InDesign are CMYK. Photoshop is RGB. That's mostly because you're dealing with raster processes, which the RGB works better for image editing on a computer screen. So a computer screen, how many people ignored their parents and went super close to the TV screen and put your eyeball right on that thing, on that old tube television? Everybody, I think, has done that. Why can't I play with images? What colors do you see in those little pixels on the TV? The old tube televisions. I know I'm getting up to a point where tube televisions are not a part of people's past. But red, green, and blue. Bueno. So how light then is color mixed? If I take those three colors of light, R, G, and B, and I mix them together, I get white light. Right? I get the color white. If I take the printed colors of C, M, Y, and K and mix those together, I get black. So they're opposites. One is in a light emitting color, the other is the other side. Now when we're talking about like color bit values and everything else, it's basically saying when I'm emitting light, what is my base hybridization? And this is like getting way too far. Sorry about that. It's getting already way too far beyond what the scope of what we'll do in this class is. But when you get super kind of into this idea of color management and everything else, which I advise you not to go down the rabbit hole, you can be there forever. Just be aware of what's going on. So when I'm in Illustrator, somebody's going to come across this. I made a black box in Illustrator, but it looks gray, sort of, right? And that's because it's the printed black. When I look at black, even back there, it's not necessarily black. You'll never print pure black, and nothing is ever pure white.